Chef hit us up from College Station and said, who has the best running back rooms in the country? Now, here's what I'm doing. I'm doing basically a pre-spring version of this. Spring ball has started, but not everywhere. So I got 4 of them I've got my eye on. I'm going to give you a more definitive list probably after spring ball when I see what the portal did. But Ohio State's at the top of the list. I think Ohio State's got the best running back room in the country this year. Travion Henderson, when he got close to healthy at the end of last year, looked like the best back in the country. And he has that ability. And even with Quinshon Judkins transferring in, let me be clear, a healthy Travion Henderson's the best they got. And he ought to be the feature back up there. So Judkins is no joke and one of the best in the country in his own right. But Travion Henderson is a monster when he's healthy. Judkins last year, 4.3 yards per carry. I think Henderson got nearly 1,000 yards last year and didn't even play in every game. And he's about a 6 yards per carry guy. So that 1-2 is why I am not exactly chewing my fingernails to the nubs, worrying about, whether Will Howard can throw for 4,000 yards. Maybe he doesn't need to for them to win every game. I'm going to stay in the Big Ten for a second because Penn State's got to be, to me, on this list. Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, 4.5 and 5.2 yards per carry respectively, with about 14 touchdowns last year. There's no need to estimate. They just had 14. It wasn't about 14. It's not like guessing temperature. But my point is, I still think there is another collective gear that running back room can hit. And a lot of it will have to do with the new offensive coordinator coming in from Kansas. Got one of the best in the business running that room in Jaywan Sider. So I'm a big believer in both of those guys. I think Georgia will end up being on this list. And unlike these other two, Georgia doesn't have a household name there that the country knows. Most of you may not even know Trevor Etienne has transferred to Georgia, but he was at Florida last year, which, by the way, just like good on Georgia for getting him. The concept of transferring from one rival school to another is something that when I'm elected college football commissioner, I may just ban it, but it's not illegal, so wave the red and black pom-pom. It feels a little gross to me. But now that he's in Athens, he is going to be a monster this fall. And they hadn't had a 1,000-yard rusher, I think, since 2019. He will be one if he's healthy this fall. Trevor Etienne was good at Florida, can be great at Georgia, and keep in mind the offensive line he's going to play behind. And then when we're talking about the room at Georgia, they also signed 2 4-star backs and a high 3-star back this past cycle, at least one of whom will probably play significant downs for them. And look, if they go through spring and they realize we want to build a little more depth here, freshmen maybe not quite where we want them, they'll just go get one out of the portal. So I think Georgia's room will be really good this fall. Alabama's room is going to be really good this fall. I think it was the Rose Bowl against Michigan when Bama finally did what I was sitting there waiting on them to do all year, and that is put Justice Haynes in the game. Like Justice Haynes, you kept hearing things about him at practice, true freshman. And yeah, you got Roydell Williams there and Jam Miller. And Jam Miller had a really good year last year. But, man, in a loss, Justice Haynes is in there. He looked a little bit different. That was like when Mark Ingram first came to Alabama, and they had like Glenn Coffey there and Terry Grant. It was like holdovers from a previous regime, the best of the previous regime. But then when the first of the Nick Saban recruiting classes started to emerge, you're like, whoa, those guys look kind of different. Well, Justice Haynes steps on the field and just looked a little different. I think he may be their featured back this year, and if he's not, it's because Jam Miller has stepped up, or Richard Young. They signed a couple of 4-star kids this class. Richard Young was a high 4-star from the last class. They got plenty of depth and talent there, and a new guy taking over that room, got a whole new coaching staff, obviously. So those are 4 programs that I have my eye on. Not shocking. They're 4 of the best talent acquirers in college football.